This is Elliot and Jose coming to you from Dreamland Comics on the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. And we'll just hop back between Marvel, DC. Agents of Atlas, number 11. You know, you guys know how much we've loved this title. And we lamented that the title was going to be going on hiatus, or we thought that it was going to be canceled.
Yeah.
But then Jeff Parker came out and said it wasn't being canceled. That it was going on a hiatus so they can get themselves started over again with another volume.
What's going to happen... Yeah, whatever. What's going to happen is this is actually the last issue of Agents of Atlas regular series proper.
Right.
And then the next two issues, which really should have just been in here, but I understand why they're doing it, is going to be Agents of Atlas versus X-Men, which is going to be a 2-issue mini, but it's going to be done by the same creative team.
Same creative team.
So
right.
it's essentially just the next 2 issues. Right. Then after that,
it becomes a backup
feature in Incredible Hulk, which I'm not very happy about.
Right.
But and then at some point they're going to get it ready to relaunch it as a volume 3, as a third volume essentially, sometime next year.
So
at least it's not getting canceled.
The thing that gets me is kind of, I found it somewhat odd that the last issue of Agents of Atlas is a number 11, or the series proper. But it does wrap up the storyline. The Agents of Atlas are dealing, with their archenemy, the Great Wall.
The Great Wall was actually in issue 9. They revealed the Great Wall. The Great Wall is pretty much is the shadow version of the Agents of Atlas, right, which is a shadow version of itself. But it was an unknown group, unknown to the Agents of Atlas. So it's pretty much their exact opposite, and they're because Jade Claw is Jimmy Woo's ex-girlfriend,
which in the very beginning we have another one of those really fun.
Agents of Atlas has the best catch-up pages on all the Marvel books, easily.
You know, it's entertaining. You know,
and it actually gives you information you need.
When the characters tell you what happened in the previous issue, it's fun to read. And of course, Gorilla Man is really one of the more entertaining characters in comics. So, what are the things that we enjoyed about Agents of Atlas? And it just goes to show how different writers take different tacks when it comes to dealing with dealing with a team. We saw how Jeff Parker handled the New Avengers in the issue that the New Avengers showed up in Agents of Atlas. Mm-hmm. Jeff Parker just seems to know how to write team books. Yeah. I mean, he really can.
And there was before you get, I want you to keep talking, but I want to remember and say this, that there was actually 2 points in this book that made it stand out for me as a team book, and this is why Jeff Parker knows how to write team books. But when we get there, I'll bring them up, but there was actually 2 points I was like, wow, that is just really awesome.
Well, yeah, there were actually, we're probably going to think about the same plot points. But, you know, again, Jimmy Woo, it appears as if the Agents of Atlas are getting their asses handed to them. Mm-hmm. You know, the Great Wall, you know, they're being overpowered. You know, the Agents of Atlas, robot M11, is not able to withstand
M21. Jade Claw's M21.
Jade Claw's M21. And, you know, it looks like the balance has tipped. Mm-hmm. But you get them, you know, they retreat, and what do? They think it through.
Right.
You know? They don't sit there and
and it was like in the last issue, before they went out to do this, they actually showed them sitting around planning. And it just turned out that the Great Wall was just too powerful for them. So they just go back and regroup, but then they plan again. They just don't jump right into it.
Right.
Like the New Avengers.
Like Clint Barton.
Yeah, like Clint Barton.
It's just, you know, this is just a great, it's just a great little, it's a great team book because Jeff Parker, like I said with Jeff Johns did in Blackest Night, he gives the heroes a problem to figure out. Mm-hmm. It's a big problem. It's a big problem that they have to deal with. Same here. Jeff Parker gives the Agents of Atlas a big problem to deal with. They're like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And you, as a reader, get to work through and figure it out with the heroes. So that just goes to show that some writers just excel at writing team books, and some can't, excel at doing singular characters.
And another great thing is, for this being the last issue, there are a lot of firsts that happen in this title in the last issue, which is great because it just shows that Parker is thinking things through and has some reveals left that have been building and building. And one of the first is in issue 4, I think, is when the Mandarin's son, Temujin, joins Agents of Atlas, and he's a second in command because the Atlas doesn't know if they can trust Jimmy Woo, so they put him in right underneath Jimmy Woo in case Jimmy Woo fucks up. and they don't get along at all.
No.
Well, actually, Temujin and the entire Age of Atlas don't get along. But this is the first part that I was talking about about Team Booksters is great, where Temujin actually goes into this. It's called the Corridor, where it lets Atlas and then you find out the Great Wall too. Lets them kind of teleport around the world.
Right.
And
they're kind of like the Doors in the Authority.
Yeah, exactly, like the Bleed.
Yeah, the Bleed, right.
So, this is this version of the Bleed.
Right.
But Jimmy Woo gets thrown into there by himself, and Temujin teleports in to go save him. He's like, well, he's our leader, I'm going to save him. And then there's this exchange here at the bottom of the page where they're running. Temujin finds them and they're running. And then Temujin's like, thank you for saving my life. And it's like, you've never seen him show Jimmy Woo any respect whatsoever. And then Jimmy was like, hey, no problem, you don't have to thank me. And then Temujin's like, the other day, Ken Hale pulled me out of Jade Claw's lair as well. It is not something I am used to. Jimmy was like, well, you can get used to it. It's called being a team.
Exactly.
And that was the first part. I was like, oh, man, Jeff Parker just fucking nails it again with the dialogue. And it just shows why this is easily the best superhero team book in the entire industry. He just gets it. I don't know.
And then there's this other cool scene, where Temujin tries to catch a bullet. And it's like, there are these great action movie scenes, action movie set pieces in here. That this is not by any means like a kiddie book or it's a really entertaining book. It gives you a lot of bang for your buck. Which is why I'm astounded that more fanboys just don't catch up with this.
Yeah, that's what I don't get at all. Go ahead.
And then comes a great part when Gorilla Man decides to implant M11 with a personality chip.
Yeah, because he knows that M11 is strong enough to take on this M21, but he just doesn't have the passion.
Right.
That this robot needs some passion behind it. And
then there's a scene where Gorilla Man's going through all these chips. It's like there's Genghis Khan and
General Patton
and Shinsu and all that. And then he's going that one, and you just get a brief. The panel cuts off the name of the personality that he's getting. But if you're a boxing fan, you know who this is. And then the moment M11 starts talking, smack,
that's the other first is M11 talks.
Yes. Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because he starts talking and starts talking like the personality that he's been given. And it's fun. It's a fun book. And I just really enjoy it. And it's beyond me. I'll say it again. It's beyond me why more folks haven't taken to this title.
Yeah, and it does take a few, after Atlas gets their ass handed, to go back, they regroup. But then they spend the next couple of pages of talking about what their plan is. And Wu goes to talk to Marvel Boy, and actually shows the stream of consciousness and the discussion that they have about them figuring out what they're going to do. And they're letting you in on what their plan is going to be. They just don't expose the whole thing until, there's still a surprise at the end.
Right.
But you're following with them. There's no cheating. There's nothing. It's just all them thinking things through.
Right.
Unlike New Adventures.
And it's a complex. It's kind of a complex story, but it's not so complex that you can't follow it. So,
And then the other first, which I thought was hilarious, is Venus really doesn't do any fighting because Venus uses her voice to control people, and she actually punches her first person in this issue.
Yeah.
And that was pretty awesome panel there. So,
Yay!
yeah.
It was pretty clever. It was pretty clever.
But and then this is the other part that I was talking about where they beat Jimmy Woo. They finally destroy M21 and Jade Claw. She's like all thinking that they're gonna execute her, and he's like, "That's not what we're about," you know. And then he asks Temugin, he's like, "Can you run the Great Wall for me?" Which again is Jimmy now showing that respect that Temugin showed him earlier in the issue about letting him take it over. And then Temugin's like, you wish that I command the Asian domains of Atlas? He's like, it would be my supreme honor. And then it actually shows them there, and then the team is finally bonded. Everybody in the team is finally together, and that's what it just brings this entire 11-issue story kind of to a satisfying close.
A close, but it does also set up a lot more stuff,
it does.
which is kind of cool about it. So you get a nice you get resolution to it.
Yes.
You get a satisfying ending. You can say, "Wow, I've been along for this ride, and now you've given me some closure here. I like it." And now, but it doesn't totally close it off. That it's not like this is it. This isn't the final chapter. Right. And this is a sort of thing that, unfortunately, we're really lacking in a lot of other Marvel books.
Agreed. And in the last issue, also, Namora. It was in one panel. Namora actually was talking to one of the characters, and she mentions that she used to have a relationship with Hercules. And she's like, I haven't seen him in a while since I've been back. I wonder what he's up to. Which, for those who know, it's going to be a backup feature in Incredible Hulk. So right away, you're like, there's the plot line that they're going to run with in that. So it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, Jeff Parker's setting that up.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty smart. So, we're not saying goodbye to the Agents of Atlas because they will be around, but it is,
And if you have not gotten onto the book and you've been thinking you want to get into it, the X-Men Agents of Atlas thing, the reason that I think that they're doing it as a 2-issue miniseries is to bump up the numbers.
Right.
You're going to put the X-Men in there, first of all, and then it's going to be a 2-issue miniseries, a new number one. And then, but
because the new Avengers guest spot also bumped up the Agents of Atlas numbers.
It did.
It sold really well.
So if you like what we've been saying about the book all these months, but just haven't gotten around to doing it, and you like the X-Men, well, go out of your way to buy that crossover because it'll be the X-Men book. And I'm really interested to see how Jeff Parker is going to write the X-Men. He actually made me like the new Avengers in Agents of Atlas number 5. And I can only imagine what he's going to do with the X-Men. Another awesome team.
And, of course, when these are collected in trades, you can jump.
There's one trade out so far. The hardcover just came out a couple weeks ago. The first 5 or 6 issues.
First 6 issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first 5 issues.
So give it a shot. All right. When we come back, we will jump back into DC. See you then.